Now the problem there was a huge river that was separating us from the other side of the northern mainland. This seemed to be a common problem in Brazil because there's lots of rivers, but there is usually not that many bridges. Hey you all, so here today we are on this slightly rainy and cloudy day, but we're trying to make the best out of it. We are now in our story in southern Bahia, and we just crossed over the border to the southern Bahia part, and the first city we drove to was Prado. Now, for all of you know, we are driving a Land Cruiser Prado, and the city Prado and the Land Cruiser Prado, we wonder if they are somehow connected. So in Prado, we stayed at Casa de Maria. It's a posada. Posada is something very Brazilian. They have lots of posadas there, and it's basically like a guest house or a hotel. They use that term for all these kinds of things where you can stay overnight. And at this posada, beautiful place, we met Gerhard. Gerhard is an Austrian guy. He told us we should go just north of Prado. But we need to be careful because this is a place where you need an off-road vehicle because there's no more right streets. Basically, the whole place is there, require an off-road 4x4. And so we said, okay, we have a Prado, so we're just gonna go, no problems whatsoever. And we ended up going north. We eventually made it to Barra do Cai, and that was just a wonderful place altogether. Again, no people. I don't know what's going on with the people in Brazil and why nobody wanted to do any vacations or going to any beaches, because when we were in Rio, it was full of people and everybody was partying, but for some reason, once you get out of Rio, the whole vastness of Brazil is empty. So for us, that was fine. We went to that beautiful beach, parked our car and walked along it. And man, it was gorgeous. It's really like we saw maybe 2-3 people that seemingly worked there and a fisherman with his boat. That was also very interesting, but check it out. At a empty beach. Here we have one restaurant and there were two guys with a motorcycle. Ooh, we have other people over there. Here we have Ali inside the shades. Apparently there should be some kind of lagoon over there, so we'll see really soon. There's one big difference between a beach in Brazil and the beach in Mexico. There's no trash on the floor. Even remote beaches in Mexico, at least the ones where we're in Tulum, but also on the west coast in Puerto Vallarta. Every time we were in remote beaches, people wouldn't throw trash on the floor, but the waves would bring in the trash, you know? So it was just like swim in, and there would be like lots of plastic lying around on the beaches. It got so normal to us almost to see lots of trash, and then here, none. Like, it's just empty, and I mean, there's no way they're cleaning this up, you know? Like, you would, even if you clean up trash from a beach, which they do in the Philippines, for example, I really like that there. They clean it up every day, but here they don't have the manpower to do so. So what I assume is there's just not that much trash swimming in that ocean. After being at this idyllic beach, we still had to find a place to stay though, and that's not quite that easy. We knew there was a place called Caraíva, and Caraíva was slightly north, and now the problem there was a huge river that was separating us from the other side of the northern mainland. This seemed to be a common problem in Brazil because there's lots of rivers, but there is usually not that many bridges. So for some reason they tried to make it kind of hard for people to cross, and we thought, oh, we're just gonna drive there with our Prado and try to cross anyways. Some people said sometimes if there's not a lot of rain, it might be a possibility. But so when we arrived there, we saw there was no way doing it. Also, it was late at night, so we went back to Posada de Corumbau. And that place, we stayed overnight. We didn't know anything in this area, but the next morning we woke up, we had breakfast right at the beach, and it was beautiful there. After this really good breakfast, I did a swim in the ocean and everything felt good. So I thought, why wouldn't it be possible to cross that river? And I looked it up on maps and I tried to find ways to cross over, and I saw like tiny little bridges, and we went to all those places, but it ended up we couldn't find the right road because whenever we tried, all the gates were closed.
So we thought we had found something, a path through the wilderness to reach that bridge to go to the other side.
The places where we could cross, they're closed with gates, so we'd have to go through those gates, and then but we don't know that the gates are locked, right? So we can't go in.
Right. It's kind of sad.
One guy at a hotel told us that there might be a way to cross somewhere, but we would have to ask around. It's just like I get the feeling that most people that we would ask, they would just say like, no, we can't, or we shouldn't do it. But they also don't really know what off-road capable car we have. So most of these places where we could cross are private properties, right? So somebody would have to let us cross.
Yeah.
On their property,
right.
And they probably don't see the point why they would want to do that.
Right.
So as you see, what ended up happening was we couldn't find the right road because whenever we tried, all the gates were closed. And so we had to go around. And going around meant we had to do a 4 to 5 hour detour across off-roading and, across all those rocks. And I'm telling you, after off-roading for a few hours, at some point you feel like, well, this is kind of cool, but you don't want to do this the whole day. The people who are watching.
So after over 4 hours of hardcore off-roading, we've made it to Caraíva. Our shortcut didn't work out, so we had to take the long route. It's still pretty shaky here, but we're glad we made it before sunset.
We were close to Caraíva, but we weren't quite there yet. And the reason for that is Caraíva, again, is across the river. And what that means is there is no street going there. Actually, there is a street, but that would be another 5 hour detour. But we had to park our car. We found a camping spot.
We arrived at a camping spot in Caraíva, and I just got my compulsory acai. And now we'll explore the town a little bit, go to the beach, and hope we'll spend a nice night here.
Yeah. We took one of the local boat ferries and we crossed over to Caraíva. This was such a sensational experience because we ended up like in a different world. Remember when I told you there were just no people on the beaches? Well, Caraíva was filled with tourists going to Caraíva and partying there. The whole city was like a vibrant place with lots of tourist activities. You had restaurants, you had bars, you had all kinds of places where you could buy yourself some awesome beachwear and just feel like you're involved in the whole Brazilian culture. The next morning when we woke up, we realized it was just really us and another couple doing the camping. We slept in the car and the other couple actually had a camper van, a small camper van. And it was a bit more luxurious for them than it was for us, but we ended up having a really good time. So here we are, second campsite. As you can see, full with people. Oh, actually there are some people. There's like one other camper over there. But the cars are actually just parked here because this is also a parking spot. And that parking spot is there because people can go to the other side of the river here. So this is what that looks like when we are packing. This Ali is trying to put up the second seat. She forgot that she first has to do that clap. Yep, very nice, well done. There's always a little bit of work. Ali's doing a great job here. I'm filming, otherwise I would totally help. Ali appreciates it. She's a very appreciative person.
Go away.
She's so sweet most of the time. So neighbors is sitting over there with their camping van. Big spaces for big people. Lots of space in their camping van to sleep and do all kinds of sleep stuff and eat stuff. And they also have chairs and a table. So that would be so useful because that we haven't bought yet. Every time we try to buy chairs and table, we're kind of ending up having a little bit of an issue with, you know, not finding the right chairs. Tables are really hard to find here. Hey, this guy is just offering on the cafe. I think so. Ali, do you want some coffee? Yes. Okay, very cool. So he's the only other camper here. Now Ali is gonna go over and get herself some coffee. This is how you meet people. Yeah, we were kind of hoping that this would happen a lot more. But unfortunately, you know, these times, there's just not that many people traveling, especially not so many young people and not so many foreigners traveling. So yesterday, you'll see it in the videos that Ali took last night. Huge party city, very nice, lots of people, all Brazilians, all locals. I mean, they come here to go party and have a good time. And so we saw that and it was really interesting to see, but that's it. I'm gonna show you this. Hola, obrigado.
We're getting breakfast from our neighbors.
Very nice.
Café Maya.
Oh,
It's
muy,
caliente.
oh,
Muy caliente.
obrigado, mucho.
Couscous,
Couscous.
eggs, some biscuits, and a papaya and coffee. So nice.
There we go.
They were like, damn, those people have very simple camping. We need to help them out.
So we just got breakfast from our neighbors, those people. And they probably felt sorry for our simple way of camping, seeing that we have nothing. So then we just had breakfast. That's really great. We don't even need to go anywhere.
And so we're ready to hit the road again. This is the road, this is the car. So our journey continued, going up north, and our next destination would have been Porto Seguro, which we thought would be a bigger city, and therefore we would find a place where we can stay for a little bit longer. But we had to do a stopover in Areal da Ajuda. On our way there, we still visited a couple of beaches, and I'm telling you, beautiful places all around. This is a gem, a beautiful place, because it has the cliffs, and on the cliffs there is some kind of church, a really old school looking church. There were some really beautiful posadas. We had one of them, and you can see the posada. It was one of the most luxurious looking posada that we had on our trip. We had our own bungalow with 2 rooms, 2 separate bedrooms, and everything looked super fancy. There were a pool outside, and we were literally right across the beach. There is like a street and a wall, but when we walked across this wall in the backyard, so to speak, there was this beach, and it was just fantastic. I immediately took a moonlight swim, and everything just felt a lot better.
So being here at this beach, it looks like it's super tropical. No garbage, nothing. But just 20 meters over there is total infrastructure, streets, hotels, downtown. So we really like this because it's such a huge difference just walking through this path here, and you arrive at the beach and it looks like you're not in the city at all. Just watching Paul in the water, it wanted to cool down a little bit from a busy day of driving. Lots of off-road driving.
He loves the water.
He wants to make it wet.
That night we had some nice walk through the city and a nice steak as well, because it's a very touristy place, so you'll find a lot of people there and lots of opportunities to, you know, eat well and have a good time. The next day we had to leave Areal de Ajuda. We really didn't want to. We actually thought about staying there for a little bit longer, but then we thought we'll try out a Airbnb that we found just north of Porto Seguro. We are at the beach right now. It's nice. We're kind of trying to find an Airbnb or a place for like a month or so we can do some work. We haven't seen the place yet. We just saw where it's at, and you can't see much because there's some walls around it. It's not super ideal, but we haven't found many other Airbnbs for 1 month rental in this area. Yeah, we gotta check it out. In order to get there, again, there is a river. So what you have to do is you have to cross the river. This time though, they have a ferry. So what that means is we have to load our car onto that ferry, and somehow every time you went on and off, it's just a whole new world when you get your car off the ferry the next time. We arrived in downtown Porto Seguro, and with the arrival at our Airbnb, a whole new journey would be starting again. It ended up being a place where we could stay for about, I would say, a week, because they ended up booking it out to somebody else before we were able to say we wanted to stay a little bit longer. We could settle our thoughts and make some more plans for the future of our trip, trying to figure out why we even here, what we even want to do. So in the next episode, I will talk about a place that first off, we decided to book 1 night to stay there, and we ended up staying over a month. So if you want to see this and more stories in the future, please go ahead, like this video, subscribe to this channel right here, and then check out the future video right here. And I'm excited to see you in our next journey. See you then.